President Trump recently pardoned Chang Peng Zhao, the Chinese-born Canadian founder of crypto exchange giant Binance. Zhao had pleaded guilty to failing to prevent money laundering on the platform. Months before applying for the pardon, his company processed a $2 billion transaction through a crypto firm linked to the Trump family. We spoke with Rex Lee, cybersecurity advisor at MySmart Privacy, about controversies surrounding this move. Rex Lee, thank you so much for joining us. Great to have you back on the show.
Thank you, Tiffany, for having me on the show.
When it comes to digital security, some are looking to things like crypto or, unregulated areas. There was one incident, if you will, recently that's been making a lot of headlines, which is President Trump pardoning Binance's Chang Peng Zhao, or CZ, the billionaire founder of Binance. Now, he was asked about that, and there's a clip that's been making the rounds where President Trump says he doesn't know who that is, even though he pardoned him. What are the concerns over this pardon in particular?
Trump, God bless him, he might not know who this gentleman is, but I'm sure his sons do, who are involved in their crypto enterprise. Chang Peng Zhao, or CZ, is actually a Chinese-born citizen who immigrated to Canada. Does that mean he's associated with the CCP or the Chinese government? No. And there's been really no direct ties to him personally, but there are ties to the Chinese government and the CCP through Binance. So let's talk a little bit about CZ and why he, and the pardon. He actually committed anti-money laundering violations at Binance. Binance was actively enabling their platform to support thousands of suspicious transactions, including those tied to Hamas, ISIS, and Al-Qaeda. And they were utilizing the platform in crypto as a way to launder money. And this is in the indictment and the crimes he was charged with and the crimes he admitted to. So it's not that he was falsely accused of anything and then unjustly imprisoned. He actually admitted and confessed to these crimes. He was had to serve 4 months in federal prison over it all.
Now, on the pardon itself, I think, as you noted earlier, it's not legally, it's not illegal to pardon him. But politically, there are some questions because, as you mentioned, his Binance, or at least had poured quite a lot of money into one of Trump's son's companies, or the stablecoin area. So what kind of political questions is that part raising?
Well, first of all, before the pardon ever took place, Abu Dhabi-backed crypto MGX company invested $2 billion into Binance. That investment in Binance was pushed to World Liberty Finance, which is a crypto firm part owned, not wholly owned, but part owned by the Trump family. So the $2 billion was put into an account and then invested in World Liberty Financial, which is the company that's behind stablecoin. Is it coincidental that, $2 billion got pushed to World Liberty Financial and then this pardon comes about? So it's not like he was pardoned and then later on the $2 billion came. The $2 billion was already invested. So that there's some questions on that, and that's not really from my research as much as this has been reported by CBS News, 60 Minutes. My question is, you're giving a pardon to this guy, but he's somebody who admitted to the crime. If he had pled not guilty to the crime and was convicted, then you can see, hey, there's some question here. The guy was trying to plead his innocence, and he was falsely imprisoned, but he was in prison based on his own confessions. So that I think is something that needs to be asked about.
In terms of that 60 Minutes CBS report, Eric Trump did respond to it, saying that since it's partly owned by the Trump family, that President Trump had nothing to do with it, which, some of the critics were saying, how could you not know when $2 billion is entered into it? It does seem, especially with the last election in 2024, we did see President Trump quite open or favorable towards crypto. With this pardon, some are pointing into that being like, is it a pay for play? You can't really prove that, but there are questions around that. What are your thoughts on why President Trump is so enamored, if you will, with crypto?
Well, of course, his family, separate of him, he's already got his money, so he can compartmentalize himself and say, I don't know nothing about this. As far as Eric Trump and the other Trumps that are invested heavily in this, they stand to make not billions, potentially trillions, because if you look at recent legislation, such as the Big Beautiful Bill and the Genius Act and other crypto legislation, that's going to benefit world finance. So, their back company is World Liberty Finance stands to be the leader as crypto moves from data mining or crypto mining to intrinsically backed digital currency. So once it has intrinsic value tied to currency, actual currency, then that's going to be the leader, and they stand to benefit heavily not only from the $2 billion invested by MGX, but also through the recent legislation.
I want to delve into that because, as you mentioned, CZ himself maybe doesn't have direct ties, but Binance, the company, does have OPay-linked ties to the Chinese regime. So given that, what are the national security questions that raises when it comes to a pardon like this?
Well, there's Chinese financial institutions that are involved in Binance. There are key executives in the company that have ties back to China, such as their CFO, Hina Chen, and Zheng Kai-he, Binance custody, head of Binance custody, and Lila Wang, Binance associate, all have ties back to China, as well as one of their independent directors, Zhen Wang, is also tied back to China, but also coincidentally maybe, but also associated with BHR Partners, a Chinese-focused private equity firm, again co-founded by Hunter Biden and Christopher Hines. Now, does that mean Hunter Biden and Christopher Hines are still involved? Are they going to benefit from Binance? Who knows? But they do still own they founded and own part of 25% of BHR Partners. So they're involved either directly or indirectly, and they'll benefit financially from this with Binance. So yes, there is a national security threat here. There's privacy issues. There's financial sovereignty issues.
Excellent as always, though. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me on the show.